Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into a topic that touches each and every one of us. Insecurity. We're talking about patterns of behavior that can sabotage relationships, careers, and overall happiness. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to recognize these signs in yourself and others. So, let's get started. The first sign we're going to unpack is low self-esteem. This is the bedrock, the foundation of insecurity. Now, everyone feels down about themselves sometimes, that's normal. But folks struggling with chronic insecurity, they wear those negative beliefs like a straitjacket. They constantly put themselves down, convinced they're not good enough, smart enough, attractive enough. You hear it in their self-talk. I'm such a loser, I'll never amount to anything, nobody could ever love me. This negative self-image seeps into everything they do. It keeps them from going after what they want in life, from taking risks, from believing in their own potential. They become their own worst enemy, trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. And let me tell you, this ain't just some harmless personality quirk. It can lead to missed opportunities, unhealthy relationships, and a whole heap of unhappiness. Low self-esteem often stems from deep-seated beliefs formed in childhood. Maybe they were constantly criticized, or their accomplishments were never celebrated. Whatever the root cause, it's crucial to remember that these beliefs, while powerful, are not facts. They're just thoughts, and thoughts can be changed. It's going to take some work, some soul-searching, but you can rewrite that negative script running in your head. Remember, you deserve to see yourself in a positive light. Now, let's talk about the second telltale sign of an insecure person: perfectionism. On the surface, striving for excellence might seem like a good thing, right? But here's the catch. For insecure individuals, it's not about the pursuit of excellence, it's about masking their deep-seated fear of failure and judgment. They set impossibly high standards for themselves, and when they inevitably fall short, they beat themselves up mercilessly. This constant pressure to be flawless creates a vicious cycle of anxiety, stress, and self-doubt. They're terrified of making mistakes, of looking foolish, of disappointing others. So, they overwork, overthink, and overanalyze every single detail, to the point where it becomes paralyzing. They become prisoners of their own impossible standards. This need for perfection spills over into every aspect of their lives, their work, their relationships, even their hobbies. There's a difference between striving for excellence and being ruled by the fear of imperfection. True success comes from embracing the journey, flaws and all, not from chasing an illusion of perfection. Now, let's dive into the third sign of an insecure person: the constant need for external validation. These folks are like emotional vampires, constantly seeking approval and reassurance from others, to feel good about themselves. Their self-worth is like a fragile balloon, completely dependent on the opinions and praise of those around them. They crave compliments, likes on social media, and constant reassurance that they're doing okay. But here's the thing, this constant need for validation is a bottomless pit. No amount of external approval is ever enough to quiet that inner voice of self-doubt. They become so focused on pleasing others, on getting that hit of validation, that they lose sight of their own needs and desires. They become chameleons, constantly changing their colors to fit in and gain approval. This can lead to them making choices that aren't in their best interest, just to avoid rocking the boat or disappointing someone else. They become prisoners of other people's opinions. It's natural to want to be liked and respected, but when your entire sense of self-worth hinges on the validation of others, you're setting yourself up for a world of hurt. True confidence comes from within. It's about knowing your own value, regardless of what others think. The only validation that truly matters is the validation you give yourself. Let's talk about the fourth sign of insecurity: defensive behavior. Now, we all get defensive sometimes. It's a natural human reaction when we feel attacked. But for insecure folks, defensiveness becomes a way of life. It's like they're walking around with a force field up, constantly on guard, ready to deflect any perceived criticism or threat. Even the slightest hint of disagreement can send them into a tailspin. They take everything personally, interpreting even neutral comments as attacks on their character or abilities. You might notice them getting easily offended, making excuses, or blaming others for their own shortcomings. And you know what's at the root of this defensiveness? Fear. Fear of being exposed, of being found out as inadequate or unworthy. So they build these walls around themselves, these defense mechanisms, to keep the world at bay. But here's the thing about walls, they might keep out the bad, but they also keep out the good. They prevent genuine connection, intimacy, and growth. When you're constantly on the defensive, you're not open to feedback, to learning, to evolving. You're stuck in a pattern of self-protection that ultimately holds you back. Start by examining the stories you're telling yourself. True strength comes from embracing our imperfections, not hiding behind a facade of defensiveness. The fifth sign we're going to unpack is the fear of abandonment. And let me tell you, this one runs deep. We're talking about a bone-deep terror of being left alone, rejected, or abandoned by loved ones. Now, everyone experiences some degree of separation anxiety. It's a natural part of the human experience, but for folks grappling with insecurity, this fear becomes all-consuming. It's like a constant knot in their stomach, a nagging voice whispering that everyone they love will eventually leave them. This fear can manifest in a bunch of unhealthy ways in relationships. They might become clingy and needy, constantly seeking reassurance and validation from their partners. They might get insanely jealous easily, seeing any potential threat, real or imagined, as a risk to the relationship. Or they might go the opposite direction, pushing people away before they have a chance to leave. They sabotage their own relationships, fulfilling their own self-fulfilling prophecy. This fear of abandonment often stems from past experiences, maybe a childhood trauma, a messy breakup, or a pattern of unstable relationships. Therapy can be incredibly helpful in unpacking those past wounds and developing healthier coping mechanisms. Remember, you are worthy of love and belonging. Let's talk about the sixth sign of an insecure person, the constant need for reassurance. And I'm not talking about the occasional "how do I look?" before a big event. I'm talking about a chronic, almost compulsive need to be reassured about every little thing. These folks are plagued by self-doubt, constantly second-guessing themselves and their decisions. They need constant validation from others to quiet that inner voice telling them they're not good enough, smart enough, or lovable enough. You'll hear them say things like, "Do you still love me? Do you think I'm good at my job? Do you think I'm a good person?" over and over again. And here's the thing, while it might feel good in the moment to receive that reassurance, it's a temporary fix. The underlying insecurity remains, and it won't be long before they're back, needing another hit of validation. This constant need for reassurance can be incredibly draining on relationships. It puts a lot of pressure on the other person to constantly prop up their partner's self-esteem. It's about building your self-confidence, learning to trust your own judgment, and silencing that inner critic. Your worthiness isn't contingent on the opinions of others. So, there you have it, the top signs of an insecure person. Now remember, we all experience moments of insecurity. It's a normal part of being human. But when these patterns of behavior become chronic, they can wreak havoc on our lives and relationships. The good news is that insecurity is not a life sentence. With self-awareness, work, and the right support, it's possible to overcome these challenges and build healthier, happier relationships with ourselves and others. You deserve to live a life free from the shackles of insecurity.